along with what's happening with the Pluto return for America, we're seeing the fact that the Barbell Planetary Cyclic Index is hitting a bottom means that we are now seeing geopolitical and systemic risk accelerating and intensifying at an all-time high, far exceeding anything we saw in 2020 or 2021. We're going to see things shift into high gear in 2022. The United States is heading in the direction of waging a two-front Cold War. So what we're seeing here is that Putin wants to extend Russia's rule to the Ukraine and other former Soviet republics. He definitely wants to ensure the end of NATO expansion in Eastern Europe. And China's Xi Jinping, like all his predecessors, wants Taiwan unified with the mainland. And while he would prefer to do it peacefully, he is willing to risk war with the United States to achieve his goal, especially if he believes he can win such a war at an acceptable cost. So Biden has stated that the United States will defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese attack, but the administration spokespeople have walked that talk back and reaffirmed the U.S. policy of strategic ambiguity. So he took one step forward, two steps back. China clearly possesses the greatest threat to the U.S. national security interests in the Indo-Pacific region and beyond, and strategic ambiguity should be replaced by strategic clarity. Meanwhile, what we're seeing now with the U.S. has been ineffective in using diplomacy to wean Russia from China's orbit, including any foregoing further expansion of NATO and avoiding the democracy versus autocracy rhetoric. So this is all starting to fray apart very, very fast. And the big issue here is, one, Russia is preparing to invade Ukraine. That is clear. Whether they do it or not is anybody's guess. But the astrologies, in terms of what they're doing and what the astrology is indicating, is that the prospect for invasion is certainly now 50-50. So it remains to be seen whether negotiations on a new regional security pact can be achieved to prevent escalation of the threat. So Biden's promised more military aid for Ukraine and threatened harsh sanctions against Russia. And he's made it clear that the U.S. will not intervene directly to defend Ukraine against an attack if Russia should decide to move forward with that. So this is a big, big issue, and we're going to see much more of this play out. The next problem is the Sino-American Cold War is getting colder. China is increasing its military pressure on Taiwan in the South China Sea, where many territorial disputes are now brewing with Vietnam, with the Philippines, with Australia, with Japan. And there's a broader decoupling between the Chinese and U.S. economies that's accelerating now due to COVID. And this development will have geopolitical and stagflationary consequences in 2022.
If you'd like to watch the full presentation and more like this on geopolitics, the economy, and world events from an archetypal and mundane astrological perspective, join the Global Transformation Astrology membership. Go to gta.williamstickevers.com or click the link in the description for twice-monthly webinars with Q&A, access to the growing library of previous webinars, and a collection of information and resources on today's most important topics. We are now in the middle of a massive collective psycho-spiritual death rebirth process. Stay informed and be a part of the breakthrough, not the breakdown. Become a GTA member today.